Good evening, fans. Tim Kitzrow here, the voice of NBA Jam, and you're listening to the Game Dev Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by CodeWritePlay.com. Whoa, boom shakalaka!
My mom gave birth in 1985. I was bluer than a Pac-Man ghost, barely alive. In the Cold War, my only blanket was Tetris. I played Rampart with Reagan, rampaged the world for breakfast. The laundromat was my sanctuary, the arcade was my church.
All right, how about now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How's the audio?
Good.
Good? Excellent. All right. So I'm just playing around with that Yeti mic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What kind?
It was whatever the dude at Micro Center.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me check over here. Yeti Blackout.
Yeah, that's the one. I used that very mic for a long time.
Awesome.
I only upgraded at the end of last year. So
what's the next level up from that?
You know, honestly, the next one I did was a Shure microphone with an actual instrument cable, so I moved away from USB.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is not... It's probably not worth the money, honestly. Like, the good USB mics are very good now.
Okay.
So...
Let's do it. Thanks, by the way, for indulging me, dude.
Oh, are you kidding? Thank you for doing this again, this little thing we do. Needless to say, we've got a lot to talk about. This is going to be interesting because we came from drastically different forms of entertainment before we got on the phone. I've been watching comedy specials all afternoon, and you just watched the Aaron Hernandez documentary.
Yeah, this is fascinating. I still have the still frame up on the screen, stopped at 24 minutes, 10 seconds of episode 3, Killer Inside, The Mind of Aaron Hernandez. Highly recommended. Really fascinating, brutal stuff. A lot of stuff that I mean, I'm not a football fan, so I didn't really know much about him in the first place, but there's a lot of meat on the bone in this.
I didn't know they were working on that, and I was surprised to see it, but yeah, I'm sure that's all people are going to be talking about for a few days.
I picked it up because I saw that it was the number one trending topic on Twitter. I was like, okay, what's this thing? Aaron Hernandez was trending. I was like, I thought he wasn't around anymore. Oh, okay. There's this whole series. So yeah, no, definitely check it out. It's kind of subtle too. I mean, I'm also coming from Surviving R. Kelly, which was really good too, and very compelling. But that one was more like R. Kelly's more obviously painted as like this very bad person versus this where it's kind of like, who is this guy? Like they don't really get him. Whereas R. Kelly, I think they get him more in Surviving R. Kelly.
Yeah. And boy, history is probably not going to look too fondly upon that guy.
No,
I just got a feeling. Yeah.
God, are you talking about R. Kelly or Aaron Hernandez? Because either way,
like Aaron Hernandez was sort of a victim of different circumstances. Not that it really excuses too much behavior, but he had a lot stacked against him, and seems like R. Kelly is just maybe a little bit more of an asshole.
Yeah. No, R. Kelly's a strange guy, and R. Kelly also had so many, many, many years of potentially redeeming himself that it never happened.
Right.
It was really strange. Just like all those opportunities. And then the fact that he still does stuff like that is definitely some kind of compulsion.
Oh, and that video of him sort of blowing up during that interview, he scared the hell out of me. I was nowhere near that guy. I was like, oh God, look at him. It's gonna hit that lady.
Dude, I heard this, what was it? It was a TMZ article, I think. This was right when the Surviving R. Kelly doc was coming out. When that whole series was out. It said something about how he was trying to do a show in Chicago and nobody wanted to book him, or I forget the details of it, but it sounds like he had big plans to do some big shows. They fell through, and then he was doing it at some tiny ass nightclub and nobody showed up.
Oh,
it's just what a fall from grace, man. He was on the Space Jam soundtrack. Like,
it's
wow,
true.
How wholesome. Yeah.
That's so funny you say that. We pulled the sheet music for that song out of my wife's piano bench recently.
Oh my God.
It actually had Jordan's face on it and probably Bugs Bunny, but certainly R. Kelly in big letters, and I'm like, okay, well, this isn't great anymore.
Wow. I bet there's people out there that have R. Kelly tattoos. There has to be.
Oh, yeah, I bet you're right.
There's got to be. I'm sure there's Aaron Hernandez tattoos because he wasn't with the same level of stature as R. Kelly in terms of like a big figure, but you know there's R. Kelly tattoos out there. I'm probably gonna be Googling R. Kelly tattoos after this. Yeah, trying to figure out.
A lot of hidden tattoos of R. Kelly, yeah.
Yes, yeah, God. I don't even know how you could cover up an R. Kelly tattoo. Like, what can you do with that? I don't turn it into a different character or something. Yeah,
come up with a different name, like
yes, yeah.
I can't. What's a good name that ends in R?
Man,
Jennifer Kelly. Jennifer Kelly tattoos are going to be in style.
Jennifer Kelly. Oh, I love it. Jennifer Kelly. Victor Kelly. Yes.
Victor Kelly.
Brother. His brother, who's very much more boring. Yeah. Victor Kelly, works as an actuary somewhere.
Yeah. So don't fall for that if you see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was R. Kelly. So before we get into actual content, for goodness sake, who do you like in this fight between McGregor and Cerrone coming up? Man, I think McGregor is going to make the comeback. I feel like Cerrone is just he's cool. He's just chilling. He's going in to do his business, but he's kind of like, whereas McGregor, I feel like, has much more to lose. Yeah.
Cerrone would become like an overnight superstar. I mean, he's famous for MMA fans like you and me, but for random people out there, like they'll probably hear of him the same way that they heard of Amanda Nunes after the Ronda Rousey thing, at least to whatever degree that she did become more famous. But I think it's going to be McGregor. What about you?
Cerrone, to me, is as close to a human Wolverine as I think we have. Because, he's in the beginning of the movie when he's cage fighting, every single night, and he's the local that everybody bets on, He takes so many fights and he does so much, and now he's just this sort of, I'm here and I'm doing it, and this is my career and this is my life, this is all I know. But his mindset concerns me a little bit from what I've seen in interviews. Nobody knows what's really going on. But watching that face-off with McGregor has never been this focused on anything in his entire life. He looked 100%. There was none of the shenanigans. He got into my head. If it's a trick, I mean, he's got me fooled. He looks focused AF.
Yeah.
I think maybe McGregor takes this one, and honestly, I don't know if maybe we hear some kind of retirement news for Cowboy sometime soon, something like that. Maybe this is a big thank you fight from the UFC. He deserves it.
It's got to be, man. Yeah, the McGregor one is huge. I mean, no matter what's going on with his life, all the stuff that he's been up to, all God, that whole bar thing was just crazy. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Oh my God.
Some dude's just refusing a shot of whiskey. It was like, is this really worth it? This is, I'm still looking, by the way, at this text that says the mind of Aaron Hernandez. And I'm thinking Aaron Hernandez, this guy who had a screw loose, who took things way too far. Part of this documentary, by the way, involves somebody spilling a drink on him. So he goes after them and they fires off some shots. I'm not going to spoil the documentary, but it's pretty bad. And it reminds me of McGregor. Yeah. Some guy won't drink your booze. Yeah. Just fight him. Fight that old dude. Fight that middle-aged dude.
He's looked a little older. Yeah.
Yeah. No, what a strange circumstance. It was really weird to hear him not talk a lot of trash. I was expecting something give us one classic McGregor line, but afterwards I was kind of like, this is kind of fun. This is different. You know what I mean? It's like we took a break from the kind of asshole Conor McGregor, which I have a soft spot for at times, but at the same time, though, it's like, okay, this is very, very extra.
Yeah, I'm very love-hate with McGregor. I think that this is going to be a more fun fight because of the vibe. I think these are two guys who respect each other, and there's really no bad outcome for me. If McGregor has this kind of focus coming back and wins his way back in, fantastic. If not, what a huge victory it'll be for Cowboy. I got no problem with anything.
Absolutely. So who do you think McGregor's going to face next if he wins?
Oh, man. That's a very good question. What say you?
Man, I really want to be Masvidal just because I think Masvidal is another guy.
I almost said that, yeah.
Yeah, in some ways, he's very Cowboy-like. Did they ever fight? Was there ever a Masvidal Cowboy fight? Because that seems like they'd be very, very similar.
I thought they did at some time.
They probably did, and that was probably before I really got into MMA. But
I don't normally stop to look stuff up, but I'm curious about this.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. But yeah, I think Masvidal would be really interesting with McGregor, especially because he's kind of got a pseudo Conor McGregor thing going on right now. Not in the way that he's a copycat at all, but more
Yeah.
the way that he's got a lot of momentum behind him and hype behind him. He's kind of like where McGregor was before. McGregor had to have like lots of all this build up, and Masvidal is kind of still in that build up stage. Like that the Ben Askren knockout reminded me a lot of the Jose Aldo Conor McGregor knockout.
Yeah. It's what I thought. That was one of Cowboy's losses.
Okay.
One of his very few defeats.
Damn, that sounds like it'd be really good on paper, but I don't know what it's actually like.
Yeah, so plenty of possibilities after that, but yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah. What about you? So, okay, so all right, now I'm asking again. What do you think? Who's going to be?
You know what? I think I take McGregor on this one.
Okay.
Now, either one of these guys have, as they say, a puncher's chance. A stray shot could put down either one of these guys very easily. But it's either going to be a wild shot for McGregor or a long, drawn-out, brutal fight. I can't really tell which one it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be one of these things where they both get tired and somebody ekes out, a chokehold or something. I think it's going to be just a slugfest.
Yeah, man, you got me really excited about it now. Talking about it. Yeah. At least, you know what? I'm going with McGregor too. But if nothing else, I just hope there isn't like a bad finish, because I've seen a lot of bad finishes lately. Like in MMA, there was that. What was it? There's the Jeremy Stevens fight. Did you watch that one? The Yair Rodriguez Jeremy Stevens one?
No.
Where it ended in like 15 seconds because Jeremy Stevens' eye was hurt. It was like, like 15, 20 seconds. And Yair Rodriguez, I think it was in Mexico, and he's from Mexico. And he was very disappointed with the fact that he didn't get to fight. He didn't get to do anything, release all that energy, all that excitement. And it was really awkward. And the same kind of thing happened with that Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal fight.
Yeah, they wanted to keep that going and didn't get to. Yeah,
that was really disappointing. I mean, I get it, in the rational part of me gets it, but the part of me that's like wants a really good story told and wants a good ending was like, God damn it! Like you could do more than that.
Well, we grew up with pro wrestling, and they would never stand for this.
Absolutely, yeah. Although in pro wrestling, I got to say, I'm not really watching WWE nowadays, but I heard there was this terrible Bray Wyatt Hell in the Cell ending. Did you hear about this?
No, I don't follow it so much anymore. I was a big fan earlier on, but now this stuff with like this guy's a monster man and all, I can't get into it anymore.
Yeah, no, I feel you. But all right, so Bray Wyatt, this guy who's a monster man, he was in a Hell in a Cell match. All right, all you need to know is that he was in a Hell in a Cell match, and it ended with a disqualification. And people were like, isn't the whole point of this that it's supposed to be so brutal that you absolutely have to finish it? You have to have some kind of big crazy ending. There was some crazy stuff that happened, but it ended with a disqualification, and it was very, very poorly received.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
We also didn't have Twitter when I was following it, and that's been fun to watch.
That is true also, yeah. I don't know how I feel about the internet shaping things that I like versus back when I just knew about them. Like in my head, like video games are much more innocent than the way I see it on Twitter. It feels like things are life or death, like this whole Smash thing that's happening right now.
Oh God!
God, I feel pretty bad for these people. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's like, God, these people were really getting ahead of themselves. That's why you can't ever trust the speculation.
Right. I have Smash. I like Smash. I could not have cared any less about this.
So you just caught up with it after the fact as people are mourning and just raging and just confused?
I jumped on super late. A lot of the people who are available as fighters were already there when I got on. It doesn't bother me who does or doesn't show up in this game now. It's just, if you spent all your time on it, not that there's anything wrong with that. I get it. It would be upsetting, but at the end of the day, they can't do everything everybody wants.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a reality. And then the thing is that, they do what they do. Like, and they know that people are going to be into it, even if they're upset right now for 5 minutes. They're still going to, it's not like support for Nintendo's going anywhere. So they're always protecting their best interests. That said, though, man, people are really hyping themselves up for Dante. So it must have been strange. Just being, Fire Emblem characters. I'm not a Fire Emblem guy, so
I'm not so far. I haven't tried it.
Yeah. So. But what a world where, you wake up early in the morning. I'm going to see one of my favorite video game characters join one of my favorite video game franchises, and it's not that person at all. And then You did all that effort for nothing.
Right. So
Yeah.
sorry, everybody.
Yeah. Our condolences.
Well, surely that's enough of the weekly news. I don't get to do this with anybody, so thank you for indulging me on that.
Of course. No. Thank you. It's kind of fun to talk about this because, I've spent so much time reading about it, but not so much actually talking to another person about stuff like this.
I feel like that's the trap I fall into also. I feel like I need to have my finger on the pulse of these things, but when it comes down to it, like if I can't get someone directly involved, I feel like I don't really get to talk about it, so this is nice.
It's not the same thing. So yeah, well, you're very welcome. We can we'll talk again after this after the ending of this McGregor Cerrone fight, which I hope as you run this that we would have been so excited and happy and pleased afterward. I'm just hoping the future us is, but I guess we'll find out on Saturday. Yeah,
and like you said, if it's not just a bad stoppage or something, I'll be ecstatic. It'll be great.
Yeah, just as long as You wait and see. There's going to be some kind of fuck finish. It's going to be like, oh, God damn it. What? Yeah, somebody slipped. Oh, God.
And Cowboy retires anyway.
And then, Cowboy retires, and it's like really awkward. And, they do a lot of things where, they're trying to let each other talk, but neither of them actually want to talk first. Thefts, man. This
awkward,
is you guys are supposed to beat the tar out of each other for our entertainment, and here you are, like, complimenting each other, but I guess it must be nice to be at the top.
Yeah, life is good when you're king. Kings.
Yeah.
So speaking of the top, we've got plenty to talk about since you were last on the show because your book, NBA Jam from Boss Fight Books, is out in the wild. It had a spectacular release, if not a little tumultuous. But, man, how are you feeling with the book out?
How you indulge me, dude. I appreciate that. Thank you. I feel good. It feels strange. It was 4 years ago when I started work on this, now 4.5. When did you and I last talk? Was that mid 2019, early 2019?
It was early to mid, yeah.
Early to mid, yeah. So at that point, I was still real deep into it. I knew that I could finish it. I knew that this could be a thing, but it's pretty weird having it live outside of my head because I was on it for so long. But it feels really good at the same time, though, to have that off of my shoulders is like, at least I don't have to go back home and do that. Like, at least I don't have to work on that damn NBA Jam book. So that part feels really good. It's been amazing, dude. The reception has been incredible. People have sent me all kinds of amazing messages. I mean, in one day I was talking to people who are interested in the book. Somebody from Argentina, somebody from New Zealand, somebody from England, somebody from Canada, and then, of course, somebody from the States, I'm sure. And I was like, wow, this is just a couple of days ago. Like, this had that much of an effect globally, this game, that some of that's going to translate to the book. So I'm feeling really good about that. Life of the day job, not so hot, which means that this is a really nice escape for me. So when I come back home and after I have my dinner and whatnot, or take a shower, I feel great. I get back into the world of living in a world where NBA Jam the book is real. So no, I'm feeling pretty good about it, man.
I'm reminded of Ken Jeong describing when he first got his big acting break, but he still kind of had to go back to his doctor job the next day, and how that felt. Like I'm sure almost nothing could have felt that good during the day job right now that you've got this going on for yourself.
Absolutely not. No. And my day job has had some ups and downs too. So yeah, no, it's very weird. I mean, the October 22nd, the day the book came out, was amazing. I took the day off from work. And I had all these plans of these things I was going to do, but most of the day was just spent responding to messages and calling a couple of people up, but mostly spent online, saying thank you to people and trying to do things to promote the book and stuff like that. And it was weird. It was like one of the best days of my life was spent mostly alone in some ways, but then it was also spent with a ton of people because I was interacting so much with people. Thinking about it being out now at this point is a little strange. When I go back to my day job where these guys mess up my name, they call me Ryan, they push me around. So there's lots of ups and downs over there. This is also my life. They're both part of the same life. So it's pretty weird.
It must feel weird.
It's strange, but everybody at my work has been super supportive. Several coworkers have bought the book. Here's a crazy thing that just happened the other day. So I had a coworker in my office who I don't talk to very much. I talk to him I've been at my job for 5 years now, over 5 years. this guy I only ever see across the office, but I see across the office all the time, but I only ever talk to him once in a blue moon, like literally 3 or 4 times, and the 3 or 4 years we both worked there together. Anyways, he stops me one day when I'm walking into the break room, and he says, "Hey, I just listened to this podcast," and the podcast I listened to was No Dunks, which is from the Starters, a bunch of guys who, used to have a podcast at NBA.com.
Yeah.
And the host of that show talked about the book on an episode. And this my coworker is a sports guy. So I heard this on this basketball podcast. He stops and says, "Yeah, I heard about them talking about your book on this podcast." And he's like, "I bet a bunch of people reached out to you." Well, I only ever heard from like 1 or 2 other people, but it was like, wow, like this has had that much of a reach that it's ended up on this podcast where this coworker of mine who has no connection to the video game world is hearing about it. So that was very cool and very surreal. Like this guy I never talked to was like, "Hey, I heard about your book." Completely different environment. So that was super gratifying. Very strange though. It's just one of those guys you never talk to, and they just stopped to say this one thing to me. And it was pretty weird.
It seems like one good way to judge how this is doing is through stories like that. And it got me thinking, this has to be a hard book to track performance for, just because, Boss Fight, I'm sure they strive to sell as many of their own books as they can through the website. So, I mean, are you able to get a good sense of really how it's doing?
Sort of. I know that it's doing well. The unfortunate thing is that I don't have any kind of dashboard or anything like that immediately available. So my publisher, like I'll ask him for sales figures and things like that. Hey, how's the book doing? And he'll give me kind of general updates, nothing really specifically, until I really ask, or he's prepped for it, or he's gotten a chance to take a look at the numbers. As far as I know, it's doing well, which is great. And my ultimate goal is pretty lofty. So hopefully I'm going to hit that goal. If I want to sell my goal ultimately is something like, say I definitely want to crack 10,000 minimum copies sold. So still a long ways to go to get there. But then I want to go even higher than that. So it's tough to tell about these indie books as to what's success, what isn't versus what isn't success. Because it's a small world, obviously working with limited budgets, marketing budgets, of course, aren't even a drop in the bucket compared to the real world or the, big publishing.
Sure.
When you're an indie book. So there's all these factors that come into it. And I'm like, I don't know how much people are buying or when they're buying. As far as I know, though, it's doing good. And the response has been really great. So it's super cool having it out there and it being an actual thing,
Yeah, absolutely. Boss Fight has very kindly sort of brought me into their promotional circle, and I get to hear different tidbits here and there. Someone at some point said that it wasn't impossible that you might at some point get to spot the book out in the wild, maybe on a retail shelf here or there. Have you heard anything like that?
Man, that's a good question. I haven't heard anybody spot it out in the wild yet on a shelf. I know a bunch of people, this isn't finding in the wild by any means because they specifically asked for it, but several people got it for Christmas presents. And that was super cool. I was like, wow, I didn't really think about this when I was originally developing the book, that this would be a Christmas present. But I know or at least I saw several people who tweeted at me who mentioned that they got it as a Christmas present, which was neat. So keep in mind, that's specifically asking for one gift and getting it from there. So I haven't heard anybody find it out in the wild yet, but I know it's out there somewhere. I was just over at MagFest in National Harbor, Maryland. I was hoping that there would be some kind of booth somewhere that had Boss Fight books for sale, and my book would be there. And I had this whole, God, you make up these fantasies. I'd go over there. I'd say, "Oh, how's this book doing?" And they'd be like, "I don't know. It's okay, or it's sold, or whatever." And they'd be like, "Oh, because I wrote it." And then I'd show them my ID card, and they'd be psyched and everything. I'd sign some copies, and I'd walk away. I had this whole thing. Nobody was selling Boss Fight books, so I didn't get to live that fantasy. But maybe next time.
You know what you owe to yourself? You should have gone and found someone buying some other book, approached that person and said, "I see you're interested in this book. Can I see it for a moment?" And they hand it to you, and you just autograph it and just walk away.
God, I love that. That would be
something to think about.
Yeah, that would be awesome. No, but yeah, at MagFest, man, I gave this little talk. What was it called? It was called "Inside the Making of NBA Jam: Blue Screens, Burger King, and Boom Shakalaka." And it was pretty fun. It was about 45 minutes of presentation and then 15 minutes of questions, or 40 minutes of presentation, 15 minutes of questions, or 20 minutes of questions. It was, and about 50 people showed up to this thing overall. Like, it was a packed house. It was great. And it was a little weird to think that, like, I used to go to MagFest as a fan and always say to myself, like, when this book's actually out, when this is a real thing, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to be doing a panel myself. And then to actually be doing it was pretty surreal. So yeah, I visited MagFest as a fan in 2016 and 17. And then when I returned in 2020, I was doing a panel. So that was super cool. But I talked to all these people afterward, and I did another panel with some other great people who are in the video game history business. I'm not sure if it's a business, but the video game history space. But yeah, no, it was the reception was really good, and it was very heartening to be like, oh wow, people really do care about this project, or they really do care about the history of Midway and of NBA Jam. There's so much stuff over there that I feel like I could just have kept going. I mean, 40 minutes was really tough for me, actually. I had to cut some stuff. But I guess maybe I'm long-winded with things like that. When I'm really into it, I could just go on talking forever about it.
I was going to ask you about that either way, because I was excited to see that you were getting to present very quickly after the book came out, and that's well within the realm of possibility for most people listening to this podcast, because they're creators, they're working on various different things, art, games. I know some podcasters who listen, so I would say any of those folks could find themselves in that position. So I mean, like, how did you get ready? Did you feel prepared? How was the experience itself?
Yeah, I actually kept working on it until, I'd say, was it the night before, something like that? I think it was. I stopped working on the presentation at about 4 a.m. the night before. Now, my MagFest body schedule is very different from my everyday body schedule. So right now, as we're talking, it is 9:46 in Ohio, and it is 8:46 where you are. And I'm probably by 1 o'clock, I'm just, I'm definitely asleep. By midnight, that's probably, I'm kind of a night owl, but that's when I'm going to be winding down because I have to go to work the next day. Yeah. But on MagFest time, I was wide awake at 4 a.m. working on this presentation. No, it was great. So the way it happened for me was I posted about it on Twitter once. I said, hey, does anybody know when MagFest panelists, whenever those submissions, when that's going to be open? What's going to be that period? And then somebody named Phil Salvador, who works for MagFest, responded and says, actually, I'm organizing some panels. If you're interested, I'd love to get you involved. So I did some back and forth with him, gave him some background on me and on the book and on what I wanted to do for a panel. And then that was pretty much it for a long time. And then I thought, okay, what do I want this to actually be? So what's cool is I've actually done this presentation before once at my day job. We had a lunch and learn a couple of years ago where the idea is that different employees from the company will spend an hour or whatever with a group eating lunch and then going through a presentation about a subject that they really like. It could be something relating to our job, or it could be something relating to their personal life. And I wanted to do one about the book. Somebody nominated me to do one about the book. This is back when I was still really in the trenches of working on it. So I put together this presentation and it went over really well at work. So, and I ended up using some of that for this one itself, just making it much more specialized and focused and taking out a lot of the more basic things that I would have to share for my coworkers. Yeah. But yeah, it was overall went really well. I winged the presentation. I didn't actually know. I knew what order, of course, the slides were going to be in, but I didn't say what I was going to say out loud a single time before I went there. And I'm pretty sure I made at least one mistake when I was speaking about something, because I said NBA Jam was the first arcade basketball game of all time, which I 100% know is not true, considering I talked about several others in the book. Yeah. And somebody else from MagFest caught that and was like, I'm not so sure about that. It's like, no way I meant to say that. I'm not sure if I said that. Maybe I did. It's very plausible that I rambled and started talking about it being the first one ever, even though it wasn't. But no, the presentation went over great overall. So I'm really happy about that. And it's very, again, very gratifying. And you know what I did mention before is that a couple people actually came up to me with copies of their own. Like, they had copies from before that they wanted me to sign. Other people brought copies from me out of my backpack as we were leaving. But a couple of people came up with copies that, yeah, they'd already bought, they wanted me to sign. And that was wild. I was like, wow, this is really a thing. Like, we don't know each other at all. We're not, I didn't ask you to do this. Right. So it's crazy. So, no, it was wild. MagFest was great. It was actually my second convention. First one wasn't as successful, but it was still a really fun time.
I love that. Your story about making a mistake reminded me of a presentation I gave one time at it was a grade school. I had really no connection to the school whatsoever, but they asked me to come in. They're like, the kids would love if there was a game designer here. Maybe you could show them your code, show them the game running, that kind of thing. And I said, I'll do you one better. I will set up a program that I will make just for this night. We'll run it on the projector. The kids can play with multiple controllers. It actually was a very cool thing, but I got cocky and I started trying to let the kids manipulate the code, and I made an error in my own code that a parent caught, and I've never been so upset.
Wow. One of the other parents caught it. Wow. Did you know this person otherwise?
Absolutely not. This was a parent of a kid who was just standing there, and he clearly happened to be a coder, and he goes, I think you left a line commented out there, and that'll make it run. And I almost punched him.
Wow. Oh, God. Flexing at the school presentation. Wow.
He was 100% right, and I was angry anyway.
That's terrible. Well, I'm sorry. That's a tough moment to go through. Yeah, especially if you spend so much effort. If you're invested in it from a time perspective, and you're like, emotionally you want to do something cool. Yeah, that part really sucks. I'm sorry, dude. That's rough.
No, it was. I had a sense of humor about it, but I gave the guy a hard time, and we all had a good laugh about it.
That's cool. Yeah,
it's just a funny thing.
Right when you're right there, you're just somebody points it out. Well, it's like, okay, you're right. It doesn't make me feel any better though.
Yeah, give me a hint next time.
Yeah, you just whisper in my ear. Text it to me.
Enjoy basketball, soccer, and all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using bonus code CAPITAL and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Plus, when you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. Download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and enter bonus code CAPITAL and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. Now you're winning with the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Washington, D.C. only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Enjoy basketball, soccer, and all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using bonus code CAPITAL and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Plus, when you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. Download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and enter bonus code CAPITAL and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. Now you're winning with the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Washington, D.C. only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
So I'm on Twitter. Minding my business. Well, I'm never minding my business when I'm on Twitter, but I'm on Twitter.
I think about you. Yeah, you should never mind your business, Todd. Come on.
And I see our
hot takes on everything. By the way, I'm not just kissing your ass or anything, but God, some of the lines you deliver are just crazy good. So
I spend too much time on it is the problem.
I enjoy your takes. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, it's no problem. I see our buddy Tim Kitzrow. And what is he doing? But he is singing your praises to a WWE superstar on his web show podcast. I wasn't actually entirely sure what it was, but my mind was blown when I saw this. So tell me what that was.
Yeah. All right. So I mentioned that I did another convention before MagFest. So this was the Cleveland Gaming Classic. Really good folks. It was a good time. Book sales didn't really materialize over there. And this is by the way, the first week that the books came out. So I was trying to coordinate with my publisher. I'm like, okay, and am I going to be able to get these physical books in time for this convention? And thankfully I was. So the first ever copy I signed was at that convention. But yeah, the convention, Tim was over there just across the hallway from me. hung out for a spell, and I got to do a Q&A interview with him on stage. And by stage, I mean it was in this really noisy arcade. I mean, God, actually on one side there was cabinets, on the other side there was like an N64 and a whole bunch of other games set up. So like people are playing Blitz, people are playing Mortal Kombat 4 and NBA Jam, and God, it's a bunch of other games too. I forget them offhand. Anyways, and I'm trying to do an interview with Tim Kitzrow over here, and you can't really even hear us talk. But on that weekend, I got to spend some time with Tim, and he got to see the book for himself the first time. So I started talking to him right when the project began, of course. And, we'd been corresponding for years, but that was the first time that we really got to it was the second time we met, but it was the first time that he got to hold the book and see that this is a real thing. Yeah. And I think that really solidified it for him that, wow, okay, this guy actually finished this thing and it's a real project, and, it looks like it's pretty good. So he and I talked, and my buddy Derek and I and Tim all went out for Mexican food later that day, which was great. Having dinner with the NBA Jam voice was pretty wild. I mean, at that point, I'm transitioning less from my journalist role to more like, okay, I'm just, dude, another guy at the convention hanging out with Tim Kitzrow. Yeah. But that was one weekend. And then the following weekend was Survivor Series, and that was in Chicago. And Tim was doing something as part of, I think, WWE Watch Along, something like that, where he was going to do some stuff with some other WWE superstars. And one of them was Xavier Woods, who he then teamed up with again for that podcast that they did. So, Xavier Woods has something called Up, Up, Down, Down. Super cool YouTube show. And, he does different – I'm not even sure he does long – I don't think he does long plays, but he definitely plays with different wrestlers on different games, and he'll do interviews from time to time and things like that. And he had Tim on the weekend after. So I was thinking, man, one weekend, you're hanging out with the coolest people in the world, me and my buddy Derek, at this Cleveland gaming convention, and the next weekend you're at WWE Survivor Series. I mean, it's a step down, but I'm glad you're staying busy though. And he was, but no, I really appreciate what he did, man. And Xavier Woods is a cool guy too. I reached out to him. I sent him a copy of the book too. So I hope he pays attention to that. I hope he got it. But when Tim did that whole rundown of it, that was just a week removed from when he had the book in his hands for the first time. And it was really good of him to do that. I mean, both from the marketing standpoint, I was like, wow, this is great. This is so cool that it's getting out there. But on the other hand, I was like, that's so cool that, he really came through. I mean, that Mexican restaurant dinner that we had was something where Tim and I got to know each other a little bit more, and our relationship started to become less about the book, because of course the book's out at that point, and, more just talking about who we are in life and whatnot. And it's like, wow, my buddy Tim from the Mexican restaurant dinner, he's plugging the book on Up, Up, Down, Down. So that was amazing. I was really happy with that, and I hope it gets out there more because of it. So that was wild, man.
And that was so fun to see, and I even shared that over on Facebook, and almost nothing makes it over to my Facebook. But I want to sing this praise for Tim also, because as most people have put together by now, he does the intro for most episodes of the podcast. He recorded mine. I wasn't special. This is just a service he just offers. He recorded my intro about the same time he was working with id on the Rage 2 Easter egg track, and hit his estimated deadline that he would send it to me, and it was incredible quality. Like, he's a busy guy. He keeps active, and he's this incredible professional. It's just awesome.
He's crazy, man. No, he really is a special person in that way. In terms of talent and professionalism, he's on another level. I think I included this detail in the book, but Trey Smith, who produced the 2010 version of NBA Jam for EA Sports, he was talking to me about how professional Tim was and how much he loved working with him. And he said that Tim's voice cracked one time, and all the hours, I don't know if it was probably dozens of hours, if not hundreds, that they spent on that game. Yeah. And, Tim had this whole routine where he would always be drinking his tea, and he would be wearing a scarf. You'll always see him with a scarf on. I think that's to protect his voice. Mm-hmm. And he's such a professional that, a part of me was like, okay, this seems like, you don't need – now keep in mind, I'm a total layman when it comes to voice acting or doing anything like this. So this is totally like the peanut gallery opinion. But I was like, do you need to do all this stuff to maintain your voice? And then I hear about Tim's quality and what he does and his output, and knowing that he does that for you is not surprising. And then I was like, yeah, actually, that was a terrible opinion that I had, that he shouldn't be doing all these things, because he clearly should, because he's succeeding so well. So no, he's incredible, and he's such a gem of a character too. I mean, he's the one person in the book who you can see have some really high highs and then also some really low lows. Well, actually, come to think of it, you can see with Termel to a degree too, but Tim's are more dramatic and more relating to NBA Jam specifically. That it's just weird to think that, yeah, this guy who's responsible for some of the most iconic commentary in any video game ever was almost cut from the roster not cut from the roster, cut from the development of the home game, over $3,000. So
right,
Tim himself is just such a find, and what a story, what a life that guy's had.
And he's the kind of guy who, if we found out the best of his career hasn't happened yet at all, I would not be surprised in the slot. I'd be almost more surprised if it wasn't ahead of us. He's just got that kind of talent.
Absolutely. I keep hoping that he's going to find the right outlet for him. I mean, he really deserves to have a bigger platform than he does, but the big thing would be him finding a way to channel that. Because, now I say this with all the love in my heart for NBA Jam. I mean, obviously I wrote a whole book about it. I love Midway. But if Tim wants to get to that next level or wanted to be out there, he would probably have to do something else or add to his repertoire in some way. Maybe do something where, you get to know his personality a little bit more, like his own podcast or his own show of some kind.
He needs to be like a Bill Nye for video games or something like that.
That'd be great, yeah. And, I mean, he's a super talented guy, very quick. He always would be coming up to me with these ideas. He would say, oh, how about an NBA Jam sneaker? Or an NBA Jam energy drink, NBA Jam this, NBA Jam that. Something that would not necessarily be NBA licensed, but that could be leveraging those same ideas from NBA Jam. The Boom Shakalaka, He's on Fire, motifs, all that stuff. And he's always coming up with new stuff. And his voice resume is out there somewhere. So I can send this to you afterward through DM. But there's a spot where you can go in and listen to Tim do all these different radio spots in different voices for different products, like some lighthearted, some serious. Like you'll hear him as the voice of one of those medicine commercials where they talk very seriously about the side effects. And he's just an incredible professional who I don't know why he doesn't have much more of a following. But that said, though, I wouldn't be surprised, though, if he could do more.
I feel like he's gathering momentum. I can kind of feel it.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I know that this book is just one small part of the puzzle, but I hope that somehow this contributes to his legend growing. And as you see the story of this guy who is so talented, but never really got to have that financial gain that those other people did. And even though he's iconic, in some ways he's totally overlooked. I hope that something like that gets to boost his reputation, but I know he's got more in him. He just needs to find out what that is.
Absolutely. Since we're kind of touching on some things that are in the book, what's something that is there anything that people continue to sort of bring to your attention? Like, I read this part and I couldn't believe it.
Oh man, that's a good question.
And even if the answer is no, that says something great about the book, because everyone's taking something different,
Absolutely. Yeah. No, what's cool is that one of the things I like to do is a little exit survey. I said, if you read the book, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Honestly, for better or worse, hearing that feedback is always good. Yeah. One thing that's killing me right now, so over on Goodreads, there's 48 reviews of NBA Jam, which is fantastic, or 49, which is crazy good. I mean, the book just came out 3 months ago, and I've already got a ton of reviews. But the lowest reviews I've got are 4 3-star reviews. Everything else is 5 stars, and then the rest are, most are 5 stars, some 4 stars, and then 4 3-star reviews. And I'm like, okay, tell me what I did wrong. Like, what was it missing? What did it need? Give me some feedback. And there's no feedback, just the rating. And I'm like,
no.
It kills me. Oh, yeah. No, it's like, negative feedback isn't the worst thing in the world in some ways. I mean, it's just a reality. Not everybody's going to like everything. You can go on YouTube and there's a video of, calming white noise, and that there's like 42,000 downvotes.
Downvotes, yeah.
And you're like, wow, what did this calming white noise do to 42,000 people? Must have done something.
I didn't fall asleep.
Yeah. Dude, seriously, after this, just find a random YouTube video, like a calming air conditioner noise or white noise. And yeah, there's going to be tons of doubt involved. So there's a reality that not everybody's going to like it, but no, the reception's been fantastic. Specific takeaways people have had. I've heard a lot about how surprised that they were of how interesting the story was, because I think some people just probably, the reality is they picked it up because of the nostalgia, or they say, oh, I liked NBA Jam, let me give it a shot. And that was, of course, that's my entrance, is to be like, okay, you like NBA Jam? Great, give this a shot. And then they actually read it and they say, wow, there's some really interesting people over here and new information. And there's a whole story, there's a whole rise and fall of Midway. There's all those little mini stories that happen with the serial characters and the fans of NBA Jam and all this other stuff. So I keep hearing that, yeah, it's more interesting than they thought it would be, or it's actually really compelling. You don't need to know arcade games or basketball or anything like that in order to enjoy it, which is a huge compliment. Otherwise, as far as content of the book goes, across the board, I've had some people that really love the idea of being able to go in and see what that first night on test looked like for NBA Jam, what it was like in that arcade in Chicago, which was actually an excerpt that has been available online for like 2 years now. But it's revised for the book, of course, and it's freshened up for the book. But it's cool to hear that people love that. They also love hearing about Tim Kitzrow's life and how interesting Mark Trammell is. I had a friend whose favorite part, at least that's my takeaway of his favorite part, is about NBA Jam XXX with he's on fucking fire and get that shit out of here. And grabs his Johnson. And he was telling me that he was reading the book with his infant daughter. I think she was like sleeping on his lap or sleeping on his shoulder. And he got to, he's on fucking fire. And then he holding in his laughter and he didn't want to wake her up because he thought it was so funny. And I thought that was great.
That's perfect.
Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of stuff. The broader takeaway is that it's more interesting than they thought it would be, and that this is something that can appeal to people who don't even necessarily care about NBA Jam, which I take as a huge compliment if you care to keep reading, even if you're like, I could not care less. So
right.
I would not mind that.
Part of the magic of this is a type of content that there is a good audience for almost regardless of the game. So, if you look at this in terms of being a game postmortem, there is a big following for that. And I routinely read content like that about games where if there's no dramatic element whatsoever, I swear, if it's a story of like, here was the publisher, here were the key people, here's what they did, here's what the schedule looked like, it can be as plain as that. I think it's fantastic to read as a developer. And I feel like even if I wasn't, it would be pretty interesting. We know several author friends who have done a great job incorporating that drama back into it. Our friend David Craddock has done a phenomenal job of that. Our buddy Blake J. Harris is reaping the rewards of that as we speak. He's going to premiere his documentary at South by Southwest soon. I could not be happier for him. The people who have taken the time to weave those stories, it's just dynamite when it comes together.
Absolutely. And the thing is that NBA Jam is just one of a gazillion possible stories, especially from that era. Even stop at, let's say 2010. From 1990 to 2010, I bet there's so many incredible stories that have not even been touched. They haven't even scratched the surface.
Absolutely.
And when I think about how many great games came out of that time, you can just go through these catalogs and catalogs of amazing games, and then only a handful of them have anything beyond, hey, the game came out, this is the kind of reviews it got, this is the quality of the game. Nothing really about the development of the game. And I'm hoping that also to some degree that there's going to be other people out there that really start getting into 90s history. They probably will as the 90s become, they go further back and as, people start having more ideas. But no, there was something a lot of fun about being able to tell a story and being able to go back in time and to kind of pretend that you're in the 90s again or in the 80s or in the early 2000s or whenever you're writing a book about. But putting together a story for this kind of project is tough, but it's so rewarding. And yeah, like those guys you mentioned, such talented dudes. David Kushner is another great author.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of Masters of Doom. He wrote a really great story about Flappy Bird. Did you ever read his Flappy Bird story for Rolling Stone?
I read the Doom book. I did not read that.
So the Flappy Bird story was very different because it was about a game that was at that point. For me, Masters of Doom was something I just read. I think it was 2 years ago or a year or so ago. Excuse me. It's probably 2 years ago now because I remember it being a huge inspiration for my own book. But Masters of Doom came out long after Doom had been popular. Whereas this Flappy Bird story was written just as Flappy Bird was still really on the top of the world. And it goes to, I think it's to Vietnam. to meet the creator. And it's more just a profile of the creator, not a huge narrative or anything, but it's still really well done. And it's super cool to, see somebody traveling all that way to hang out with the creator of a mobile game to talk about how huge it is and why he wants it off the market. So
I was going to say right after he wanted nothing to do with the public eye. Poor guy.
Wow. When you think about that, there's people would kill for that. People would kill for just a crumb of attention that Flappy Bird got. It's wild.
That's what was so magical about that story to me, was because I know that struggle. I know so many people who know that struggle. They'll go their whole lives without having any sort of success at that level with the game. And I liked the game. I thought it was a fun little thing. I happened to be okay at it. But the difficulty of it and the simplicity frustrated people, and they went, why does this guy get to be this successful? And I'm sure he didn't understand that. He just went, I made a very simple thing. I put little tiny ads on it, and I hope you guys like it. And the entire world wanted him to die.
Yeah. It's wild. I mean, that whole thing, that's just a crazy story the way you tell it right there. Yeah. Man, I wonder what his ideal Flappy Bird scenario would have been. As like what the proper level that we would have still been enjoying Flappy Bird.
If it made $15 a month,
exactly,
and not a dime more, he would have had the greatest life. He would have felt so good about that, and I would too. I would go, look, this thing pays my, pick a cheap bill, and that pays for that bill every month. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and it could be the fast food bill. Actually, probably wouldn't cover. It might cover a little bit, but yeah, Flappy Bird for fast food. And then lo and behold, when Flappy Bird became so huge, I honestly started confusing with Angry Birds, because Angry Birds was such a huge thing, and now I see Angry Birds merchandise everywhere. And just Flappy Bird could have been the next Angry Birds, which is crazy to say. And yeah, he just ended up saying, you know what? Fuck it, I don't want to do it. This is ruining, this is killing people's productivity. So get rid of the game. And now there's a gazillion clones out there. So what a wild story, man. He just got lucky. I mean, I don't think he just got lucky, actually. I think it was just right, I wonder who played it. I would really be curious as to like the forensics of that,
Yeah.
Like back through like, okay, who made who is the person that played Flappy Bird or shared the story about Flappy Bird that like in the first place that really got it to take off? There's got to be something interesting there too.
Some YouTuber tipped everybody off to this or something.
Probably, yeah. And that guy's like, God damn it! Like, I didn't even monetize my video, and meanwhile, Flappy Bird is taking over the world. Right. Yeah, some guy out there. Yeah, I bet that's what happened.
There could be even more to this story, but
yeah. All right, let's do it. We're the
investigative team is on the case. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're going to be starting up a Patreon just for this. Are you ready for it?
Here it comes. Support our quest for knowledge.
Flappy Bird 2, potentially, yeah. Send us to Vietnam, please.
Speaking of travel, are you going to do some more events?
Definitely want to do some more events. So I did the one. So I'm based out of Columbus, Ohio, just for context over here. But I traveled over to Cleveland for the Cleveland Burbs. So that last one, that was cool. Then we're not for that last one, for that first one that I did. And then MagFest was in National Harbor, Maryland. That was like a 7-hour drive away, but it was totally worth it. That was the DC area. Definitely want to go to a few more places in 2020. I want to go to Chicago for sure. Chicago's like I absolutely must go to Chicago at some point.
Yeah.
Feels so right. I mean, I know there's an audience over there. There's the Galloping Ghost Arcade. I can do some really fun stuff. I really want to go to Seattle too at some point. If not in 2020, then in 2021.
Nice.
For the Sonic stuff. Plus, I'm a big fan of Seattle, so I'll be like, yeah, sure. I'll make it a vacation. I'm definitely planning on going to Portland too. So hopefully I can figure out something to get to Portland this year. Denver is another one I'd love to go to. Minnesota. I've got a buddy in Minnesota in the St. Paul, Minneapolis area who wants to set up something where I can do some kind of reading someplace. So I don't quite know what I do with that, but I definitely want to do a lot of events. So yeah, I've got all kinds of places in mind.
Chicago is going to be great. Don't bother with St. Louis. I will come to you in Chicago. My wife loves Chicago, so we'll probably both go. That'll be great.
God. Yeah, no, absolutely. I would love for that to happen. Yeah, Chicago is so cool. There's so much stuff, obviously, to do in Chicago. And when it comes to video game history, obviously, you've got all the Midway history. Plus, you've got things like Galloping Ghost Arcade that are still that's still out there and just crushing it, and all these other neat things out there too. Yeah, no, Chicago's fantastic, and I mean, I definitely want to do something in Chicago. Plus, you've got the Bulls thing with NBA Jam.
Yeah, you do.
Which is just another level. So yeah, definitely want to travel more. As far as places that are totally confirmed, I don't have anything just yet, but Portland, Chicago, Minnesota, California Extreme maybe next year in the San Francisco Bay Area. Definitely want to go to that, or maybe that's San Jose. I don't quite know. Yeah, I definitely want to do something like that. But as far as this year, though, Chicago's got to be number one on the list.
I love it. That's good news for me.
Yes, man. No,
I don't know if anyone else cares. I like that.
Yeah. No. These are fun. They're so much fun too. I mean, the thing is that, the story of NBA Jam, like now that it's getting out there more, you can see just how much it's impacted people, or rather the game's impacted people. Like all these people that come together. I mean, I had like the audience that I had last time was great. I had different kinds of questions from different kinds of people, and I'm starting to see how much of an impact it had across demographics. And that's really, it's so much fun to be able to talk about this game and make it feel like it's new again in some ways when you're sharing the story. Like that's all new information. So it's so exciting, and it is a blast to be doing all this stuff. I feel just so lucky just to be able to talk about NBA Jam and have an incentive to go out someplace and talk to strangers about NBA Jam. That's pretty cool.
Sharing the good word, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you are becoming very well known. You have about twice the size following of NBA Jam itself on Twitter.
I just noticed that the other day. That's so strange. This is really crazy to me. Yeah, how it's taken off to the point where, I could have sworn the NBA Jam Twitter account had way more. Like at NBA Jam, like those guys are just sitting on that. Even if EA isn't doing anything with it, they've got to at least update it or do something.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, no, it's weird seeing my star rise. I know that, I've got a lot more left in the tank when it comes to projects like these. Hopefully, I've got another project in the works coming up. We should probably talk about it sometime. And
I dare say we'll have you back.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'd be into that. Yeah, I've got all these different things going on. But, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a writer, or rather wanted to be an author for a living and do some kind of writing for a living. And I'm not there yet, but I'm closer than I was before. Yeah. And I've got so much left in the tank. I want to do all kinds of stuff after this. I've got plans to do novels and comic books and this and that, and ideas that I've really hashed out in my head for a while. Whether they all materialize the way that I think they will is a different thing, but just having this opportunity is crazy. So it's weird, man. Just seeing, like the book get out there and people talk about it. Like that coworker of mine, that was so weird to me. In fact, that felt way weirder to me than Tim Kitzrow talking to Xavier Woods. Like when the coworker stopped me, I was like, oh, okay. We have no reason to talk otherwise, and you heard me on a basketball podcast. Then it must be doing something.
It's the reason that was surreal to me was when I was talking to my wife, that video was available, and I was like, oh, that buddy of mine I talk about who I chit chat with and stuff. And she goes, yeah, how's he doing? I said, well, here's this video, and they're talking about him.
Amazing, man, amazing. I'm so heartened because I actually I have a family member of mine who I just recently learned about this. Now I know he loves me and I love him very deeply, and I'm assuming it was all in good faith. But he said to me just recently, he says, honestly, I thought you working on this book was a waste of time.
Oh boy.
And I wasn't quite sure as to like it was because it took 4 years. He thought I should take it in 1 or 2, or because it was about a video game. Because he's not really plugged into it at all. He just doesn't get it. He's an older family member of mine. And it's so amazing to be like, well, now you can see, you've got people that are from across the world that are talking about this game and are reaching out about it and reminiscing, and all the interest in the book that's come because of that. So that part is so gratifying. It's weird though. Like, he's understanding, like, and I was like, this game was huge. He was like, okay, sure. But, when I try to put it in layman's terms by saying it's made 3 times the amount of money that Jurassic Park did in 1993. And that Jurassic Park was so big that they named an NBA team after something in the movie.
Yes, indeed.
That was so huge, and NBA Jam made triple that. So in some ways, I'm not surprised at all that the audience is still out there, because 25, or rather now 27, close to 27 years ago, wasn't that long ago. And all those people out there that loved it probably could find reason to love it again, man.
Absolutely. And in a twisted way, Well, I mean, for one thing, I know that relative was trying to say something heartfelt, and he was probably just being more honest than most of our relatives are about these things. I think it's an easy thing to think like, oh, Todd's wasting his time or Reyan's not doing what he could be. And it's nice to find opportunities to go back and say, hey, look, here's a nod from Shaq, and here's the book doing well and stuff. And we
Absolutely.
sort of owe our families that, like, here, your support was not wasted,
Right, absolutely, yeah. And, he's been very supportive the whole time. I mean, he's not really ever said a negative word about it.
Sure.
But yeah, it was just so gratifying to be like, okay, now you can see, like, don't eat a whole lot of crow, but just like eat a little crow so I can like feel that validation of like, yes, I knew it. I knew there was something over here. I knew it was worth 4 years. But what's strange about this too is that I started working on this back in June 2015, and being over here now, that part is particularly weird. Like just thinking like, man, like what I'm doing now today was all built on a foundation 4.5 years ago. I mean, that was longer than I spent in college or in high school. It's just very strange to think how long ago that was, even though it wasn't really all that long ago in the grand scheme of things. But no, it's good finally having it out there. It's weird, and I know though that this has a lot more left in the tank. There's all kinds of things I can do with it, and when it comes to writing it, there's all kinds of other stuff that I want to do too besides this.
Absolutely. And now everybody can just sample some crow.
Yes, exactly. Just taste. Yeah,
just that grocery market thimble full of crow.
Exactly. Yeah, there'll be somebody over there in an NBA Jam the Book apron, a very nice fellow
with the Dimetap cups.
Yeah, that guy's handing out little bits of crow and say, you see this book, and this was a thing. This guy actually spent 4 years writing a book about the video game where the announcer goes boom shakalaka. This guy devoted his time and his effort and all this to it. And yeah, it's turned out pretty well. So that part's very heartening. And you know what's satisfying about it too is that this is the third book that I've tried. I pitched 2 music books and they were both rejected. And I knew I could definitely do one at some point. Like in some ways it was like, oh wow, doing a book is so hard. Yeah. But in other ways it's like, if you're like, I really want to do this and I want to see it all the way through, then it's just a matter of time and the things falling into place. So it was really validating knowing that I had 2 failed projects before this, and then I got this one. So at the time, of course, I was really heartbroken that both those 2 books were rejected right out the gate. But now I'm like, it feels more validating now that I had 2 failures to see one that's such a big success by comparison.
Absolutely. So I know it's not done. And I know you're not done, so I know we're all very excited to see what's next. Let people know where they can follow and find you, and I'll get you out of here.
Yeah, man. I'm over at NBA Jam Book on Twitter and Instagram. Come follow me if you like, especially if you like Capcom art. That's been my thing lately.
I love that.
Amazing Capcom art, yeah. And people love it too. I mean, it gets such a great response that I'm like, okay, if you guys dig it, I'll keep posting it. Yeah. I've got all these amazing pieces still left in the bank. But yeah, come over there and hang out, talk about NBA Jam and old games and 90s basketball. There's so much fun material out there that's tangentially related to NBA Jam, like arcade culture and 90s NBA culture and all this stuff that I really have a blast on Twitter and Instagram right now. So yeah, come check me out. But otherwise, you can just Google NBA Jam Book and you'll find Boss Fight Books, which is my publisher selling the book on the site. They've got it on there in the digital formats for all the different readers or in paperback. And otherwise, you can go to tinyurl.com/NBA Jam Book. That'll take you right over there to Boss Fight Books' site, or you can just Google them. Or you can go support my friend. He's a struggling businessman. Have you ever heard of Jeff Bezos?
We've not met, but we have some mutual friends.
Okay, yeah. So he's really on the come up. You got to keep an eye on this guy. He might be able to do something with his life. I'm not quite sure.
One to watch.
Yeah, one to watch in 2020. Keep an eye on this guy. And but yeah, you can check it out on Amazon. NBA Jam, the book's on there too. I think I've got 26 reviews, and I am so psyched about all of them. All the reviews have been very kind, and all the reviewers, I must say, have been very kind too. Thank you to all those review fairies out there too. Yeah. No, it's been great. So yeah, just Google NBA Jam the book, follow along, and then yeah, just keep supporting Todd's stuff. Todd's up to all kinds of cool stuff. What you got going on, Todd?
Oh boy, this podcast, I think we've got down to a science at this point. We have a little Patreon community that loves to hang out and chit chat about this stuff. They get a bonus show each month, and I'm trying my hand at some writing stuff right now, seeing what might have legs, as they say. And I'm definitely going to get a few more projects like that out the door this year.
Excellent. So, what kind of writing are you doing?
You know what? I have always wanted to try my hand at some screenwriting. I don't think I'm at a point in my life where I could necessarily sell a pilot and then go work on a show. I don't know if that would really fit into my life, but I would love to get maybe a movie made one day. And so I'm just learning the craft and seeing what I might be able to pull off.
That's fantastic. Are you using any kind of specific programs or like reading any books right now? Like, are you just using a Google Doc or Microsoft Word or something like that?
Fair question. So in the last year, as I've sort of been investigating this, I've learned about I think it's called the Fountain format, which is sort of an open screenwriting. It's almost like a programming language, but it's markup you can use for screenplays. So that's kind of neat. And then during National Novel Writing Month, I failed miserably and learned about Scrivener, which is actually very cool software for relatively cheap, because Final Draft is going to set you back a lot of money. You may never earn it back in your entire life. So Scrivener, meanwhile, is like $40 or $50 per operating system, and that's a pretty fantastic deal. And I like the software a lot. You can get a demo at something like literatureandlatte.com, but if you search for Scrivener, Scrivener, you can get a demo for like 30 days. So
I'm going to have to check this out. Yeah.
I like it.
I hope they're sponsoring this podcast. God, that was a beautiful plug.
That was too much, wasn't it? Yeah, they do iOS as well. There's a good app.
No, that's awesome. No. I love hearing about different kinds of software like that, because stuff like that blows my mind, that thinking that they make it so easy formatting-wise, because I remember when I was doing screenwriting and stuff like that when I was in high school, doing all the formatting in Microsoft Word was part of the work. I mean, that was a substantial part of it. So it's great that stuff like this even exists.
Absolutely. So, yeah, those are my recommendations for the week.
Awesome. All right. So we've got Aaron Hernandez, Scrivener. We've got Flappy Bird 2, Reyan and Todd go to Vietnam.
Flappy Patreon, yeah.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, keeping it very busy over here.
And I have no doubt you'll be back with more great news for us.
I hope so. Maybe that's something in the works. We'll see.
Stay tuned, everybody. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thank you, man.
Congratulations on your game dev breakdown, whatever that is. Sounds idiotic to me.